Backlight, although simple on the surface, can actually be used in a few different ways. It's not just for separating your subject from the background, it can also be used to tell a story. Generally, you may hear of backlight being broken down into 4 terms: rim light, edge light, hair light, and kicker. Knowing how each of these aspects of backlight affect an image's look, feel, and even narrative can be a necessary insight when creating a scene. This is lighting for cinema, A to Z. Rim light is the way we may envision backlight overall when we first become familiar with the term. It generally means an object or subject backlit in a broader capacity, so that their head, shoulders, and possibly even more of their body are lit from behind, relative to the camera. Besides being a way to create depth, a rim light can also be used to elicit a feeling or emotion in an image, which can be exaggerated or even changed using other elements like music. This relatively abstract scene of our subject in a dimly lit room, backlit by a somewhat ambiguous practical light, feels dark and a little threatening. The bright light is shining directly at us, the viewer, and we can only just make out his facial features, the rim light shaping and separating his head and shoulders, creating a dark silhouette. This was lit very simply, with a boom arm out in front of our subject, with a Nanlite Forza 60C and reflector dish attached. So maybe we want something less threatening and more mysterious, but still dark. We added a slight wrap of light on our subject's left side, using a gridded Pavotube 15C2, placing it at a backlit angle, without interfering with the overall shape of our rim light. Now when he turns, this wrap helps to reveal a little more detail on the face, and with a change in music, we shift the tone toward a more mysterious feeling around our subject. Another tonal shift. A third light is introduced, revealing more detail on our subject's face. To do this, we used a second Forza 60C, reflector dish attached, aimed up at the ceiling in front of, and just to the left of our subject, retaining a darker, atmospheric soundtrack, with a sudden shift to something more dramatic. We achieve a different feeling to the other 2 scenarios. Now, it feels like some kind of dark revelation. It feels like we've given more context to the simple threatening scene we started with, without even knowing the full story behind the shot. 3 feelings built from a simple rim light. You can see how versatile the simple rim light can be in describing a tone to the audience, but a rim light can be flexible enough to emphasize different moods without changing the lighting at all. In this short sequence, it's obvious by both music and lighting that this character isn't a friendly one, and the lighting helps to convey this. The rim light from the sunset outside the garage doors is highlighting the shoulders and head, enabling us to expose his face much darker, whilst still being very obvious to our audience that they're looking at a person, and they're not likely to imagine anything good happening in the scene after he stands up. To create the rim light, we started with the already existing ambient light coming through the top and back windows of this small workshop. We then placed a Nanlux 1200B reflector dish attached outside of these back windows, acting as our sunset. This could have been achieved with a much cheaper lighting fixture, but we chose the 1200B for its weatherproofing. This sunset shining in and around the location also helps to bring a little detail back onto our subject's face, but due to the size of the windows and our subject's position, we're not quite covering both his head and shoulders. To fix this, we simply placed a Forza 60C, reflector dish attached, a little above and behind him. Since the little 60C is obscured by the subject for the duration of the shot, it extends the sunset backlight into a full rim light, helping to create a more clearly outlined silhouette. So whilst keeping this same lighting setup, let's change the music. And add an extra shot. Changing the context of the scene with both hopeful sounding music and showing our character being released also changes the context of our lighting. It now feels more representative of a saviour figure. We still can't make out his face very well, but the rim light might be subtly suggesting something more angelic, like a halo around this mystery person who helps to release our other character. The exact same lighting in both cases, with the rim light emphasising or representing two different feelings carried by the choice of music. In part 2, we'll be taking a look at the edge light and how the one-sided nature of this backlight can be used alongside direction and composition to accentuate the narrative or feelings in a shot.